माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद ईश भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 12. Tat Shradhanaha Munayaha Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashyanti Atmani Cha Atmanam Bhaktya Shruta Girhitaya Tatshradhana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashyantyatmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shruta Girhitaya Tatshradhana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashyantyatmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shruta Girhitaya Tatshradhana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashyantyatmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shruta Girhitaya Tatshradhana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya
Pashyantyatmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shruta Girhitaya Tashdhana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashyantyatmani Chatmanam
पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं
भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया
भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया
तच्छ्रद्दधाना मुनयो
तच्छ्रद्धाना मुनयो
ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया
ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया
पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं
पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं
भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया
भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया तच्छ्रद्धाना मुनयो
तच्छ्रद्दधाना मुनयो
ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया
ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया
पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं
पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं
भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया
भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया
Tat, that,
that
Shraddhanaha,
श्रद्धानः
seriously inquisitive,
seriously inquisitive
Munayaha,
Munayah,
sages,
sages,
Jnana,
jnana,
knowledge,
knowledge,
Vairagya,
vairagya,
detachment,
detachment,
Yuktaya,
yuktaya,
well equipped with,
well-equipped with
Pashyanti,
Pashyanti,
see,
see,
Atmani,
Atmani,
within himself,
within himself,
Cha,
Cha,
and
and
Atmanam,
Atmanam,
the Paramatma,
the Paramatma,
Bhaktya,
Bhaktya,
in devotional service,
devotional service,
Shruta,
Shruta,
the Vedas,
Vedas,
Grihitaya,
Grihitaya,
well received.
received.
Translation purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. Purport. The absolute truth is realized in full by the process of devotional service to the Lord, Vasudev, or the personality of Godhead, who is the full-fledged absolute truth. Brahman is his transcendental bodily effulgence, and Paramatma is his partial representation. As such, Brahman or Paramatma realization of the absolute truth is but a partial realization. There are 4 different types of human beings: the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, and the devotees. The karmis are materialistic, whereas the other 3 are transcendental. The first class transcendentalists are the devotees who have realized the Supreme Person. The second class transcendentalists are those who have partially realized the plenary portion of the Absolute Person. And the third class transcendentalists are those who have barely realized the spiritual focus of the Absolute Person. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literatures, the Supreme Person is realized by devotional service, which is backed by full knowledge and detachment from material association. We have already discussed the point that devotional service is followed by knowledge and detachment from material association. As such, Brahman and Paramatma realization are imperfect realizations of the Absolute Truth. So the means of realizing Brahman and Paramatma, that is the paths of Jnana and Yoga, are also imperfect means of realizing the Absolute Truth. Devotional service, which is based on the foreground of full knowledge combined with detachment from material association, and which is fixed by the oral reception of the Vedanta Shruti, is the only perfect method by which the seriously inquisitive student can realize the Absolute Truth. Devotional service is not therefore meant for the less intelligent class of transcendentalists. There are 3 classes of devotees, namely first, second, and third class. The third class devotee, or the neophyte, who have no knowledge and are not detached from material association, but who are simply attracted by the preliminary process of worshipping the deity in the temple, are called material devotees. Material devotees are more attached to material benefit than transcendental profit. Therefore, one has to make definite progress from the position of material devotional service to the second class devotional position. In the second class position, the devotee can see 4 principles in the devotional line, namely the personality of Godhead, his devotees, the ignorant, and the envious. One has to raise himself at least to the stage of second class devotee, and thus become eligible to know the Absolute Truth. The third class devotee therefore has to receive the instructions of devotional service from the authoritative sources of Bhagavat. The number one Bhagavat is the established established personality of devotee, and the other Bhagavatam is the message of Godhead. The third class devotee therefore has to go to the personality devotee in order to learn the instructions of devotional service. Such a personality of devotee is not a professional man who earns his livelihood by the business of Bhagavatam. Such a devotee must be a representative of Shukadev Goswami, like Suta Goswami, and must preach the cult of devotional service for all-round benefit of all people. A neophyte devotee has very little taste for hearing from the authorities. Such a neophyte devotee makes a show of hearing from the professional man to satisfy his senses. This sort of hearing and chanting has spoiled the whole thing. So one should be very careful about the faulty process. The holy messages of Godhead, as inculcated in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Shrimad Bhagavatam, are undoubtedly transcendental subjects. But even though they are so, such transcendental matters are not to be received from the professional man who has spoiled them as the serpent spoils milk simply by the touch of his tongue. A sincere devotee must therefore be prepared to hear the Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Vedanta and other literatures left by the previous authorities or Goswamis for the benefit of his progress. Without hearing such literatures, one cannot make actual progress. And without hearing and following the instructions, the show of devotional service becomes worthless and therefore a sort of disturbance in the path of devotional service. Unless therefore devotional service is established on the principles of Shruti, Smriti, Puran and Pancharatra authorities, the make show of devotional service should at once be rejected. An unauthorized devotee should never be recognized as a pure devotee. By assimilation of such messages from the Vedic literatures, one can see the all-pervading localized aspect of the personality of Godhead within his own self. This is called Samadhi. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschate Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasali Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Tatshradadhana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pashyanti atmani chatmanam bhaktya shrutagirhitaya. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. Here we are speaking about Muni, Munayo. Normally when we refer to Muni, it's not such a good word. It's something like he's thinking speculator, to Jnani, not a devotee. But in this context, Muni means somebody who is searching, who is not happy with this material world, which is, Gita says, one in a million, one among thousands and thousands, who is seeking knowledge. Munayo, here it's given as sages. So these are those people who are seeking after the absolute truth. Shraddhadhana, seriously inquisitive. Of course, one word in Sanskrit, direct translation to English won't give Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. But Shraddhadhana, in this context, a seriously inquisitive person seeking knowledge. So now, who is seeking knowledge? The three categories given here. You have people who are not at all transcendental, karmis. Karmis just do their karma, do their work. That meant varnashram traditionally. They'll just do their work. They'll not think anything more than that. Get the result and enjoy it. And they're doing their work to enjoy. That's a karmi. Here we're not looking at those out of varnashram. Of course, we can apply it anywhere. But they're considered animals, naradhama. Bhagavad Gita says, naradhama. Those who are living life without some fixed rules and regulations and not according to their guna karma. So Prabhupada said that's 99.9% of the people today. In other words, out of varnashram. Some are in varnashram, they're not following that. So the karmis, they're not transcendental. But here now other categories, jnanis, yogis and devotees. So other people trying to find the transcendental path. You have the jnani, yogi and the bhakta. And these three are continuously mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. These are three categories of transcendentalists. The jnanis, they're seeking how to detach from this material world, that's all. And realize that I'm not part of it. They don't have a conception of a supreme entity, personality, but they have a concept that there is a different energy. There is a material energy and there's another energy that is spiritual, and I want to be in the spiritual because I realize I am a spirit by nature, aham brahmasmi. Higher than that, high jnanis are the yogis. They're seeking to understand and realize the personality of Godhead who is within their heart, Paramatma feature. So they understand that they're souls, not part of this material world, but they're trying to link to that personality within their heart. So they attain Satchit, they attain knowledge that I'm a soul and there is a supreme, and they reach samadhi, connect to that supreme. And then you have the bhakta. The bhakta is seeking after personality of Godhead. The highest principle of transcendence is realizing that person from whom the Paramatma and Brahman are coming. Krishna says in Gita, Brahmano hi pratishtaham, that Brahman is from me. And Paramatma is, he says, Sarvasya cha aham hirdi sanavishto, I am personally present in everyone's heart. So, if we realize that person is whom these other things came from, so if we realize the person, we'll realize those. So the devotee is the most intelligent. Finally, we can only know God through bhakti, as it's mentioned, through the process of bhakti. Bhakti amam abhijanati. And the Brahman and Paramatma, realization is imperfect, therefore the paths are imperfect. They are not fully perfect. So an intelligent person won't do that. An intelligent person seeks the highest goal. If we want to do something, we have to find the best way to do it, fastest way, most using less resources. That's what we do in business, in science. That's what we do. If I want to go from here to a certain place, I'll find the shortest route to go. Otherwise, I can go in so many ways. So in the same way, if we want to come to the Supreme Absolute Truth, we have to find the best and high and the perfect way. If we go through the other lower methods, they're imperfect, and actually we will one day have to become a devotee. Because the Jeev will never get anand, happiness, without coming to the Supreme. And so he'll always be searching. We are speaking about a Muni, Shraddhadhana Muneyo, seriously inquisitive sage, seeking absolute truth. But you will keep seeking if we don't reach the personality of Godhead. We will keep seeking. Whatever state we attain will not last. So therefore, intelligent person goes towards the personality of Godhead. This whole, everything here summarized in one sentence. Devotional service which is based on the foreground of full knowledge and detachment from material association, and which is fixed by oral reception by the Vedanta Shruti, is the only perfect method by which a seriously inquisitive student can realize absolute truth. So, we perform devotional service, but people have some idea that devotional service is some sentiment. No, it's very scientific. So much so that Srila Prabhupada, he produced this book, Nectar of Devotion, which he said is the supermost contribution of the Gaudiya Sampradaya to the human race, because it is concentrated knowledge on devotional service. How to know whether I'm advancing in devotion? What is devotion? How to know if someone is advanced? What are the stages of advancement? So much is there. So all this knowledge is given about devotional service being superior. But devotional service, it says, Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya. That inquisitive person who wants to begin the process should be equipped with knowledge and detachment. In one way, Bhakti does give knowledge and detachment. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jana Atyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Yadahetukam. Bhakti produces, but to do devotional service, also there must be some level of Jnana and Vairagya. Because if someone is going to practice bhakti, then he has to start serving Krishna's senses. But our tendency is to serve our senses. That is material life. So Vairagya means we should be that much detached that I will reject my service for Krishna's service. That requires some detachment, because everyone's attached to body and this world. We want to serve it. So to do bhakti, there has to be level, some level, detachment. Then bhakti will give detachment as you go on. We want to surrender more. Bhakti will award that the more we apply ourselves. But that initial detachment has to be there for bhakti. Because senses are strong. Balavan indriya gramam vidvam samapi karshati. Senses are so strong, they pull even a learned man. Senses, a person learned, vidvan. Vidvan is a person who realizes sense gratification is wrong. This material world is not my home. I should go back to Godhead. Okay, so I'm safe. No, we are not, because we are still having the senses. Senses are there. So we have to learn to, at least initially. And how do you do that? Through a devotee, mercy of devotees. Devotees will tell you that these senses should not be followed. Senses are wrong. So the devotee gives jnana. Initial jnana, devotee gives. Or if not, he'll not speak it, but you might hear his kirtan, or see his tilak, or see him. If he's so powerful, by seeing him you'll get jnana, like Prabhupada. By seeing him, people got devotion and approached him and started chanting. So that jnana initially is some perception of a spiritual truth. We may not see it or realize, but some perception by which I try to seek it. Adaushada tatha sadhu sangha. So then I seek it. And seeking it, I come to bhakti, but then some application, more knowledge is needed, that the person, you have to be guided that, okay, you want to do bhakti. Okay, you have to don't do this, don't do that. Vairagya and jnana, do bhakti. Worship this personality. Worship like this. So the bhakta should be equipped with this knowledge and detachment. That is bhakti. Otherwise, a lot of things happen in the name of bhakti, not based on proper knowledge, detachment. And what knowledge? It says here, bhaktya shruta grihitaya. That devotional service should be, that knowledge should be taken from shruta, the Vedas, grihitaya, well received. Bhaktya shruta grihitaya. That bhakti should be performed on the basis of the knowledge of Vedas. It says here Shruti, Vedas. But when it's translated, Prabhupada gives it as Vedanta Shruti. That is the topmost of the Vedas. Otherwise, Vedas, they don't talk about bhakti, all of them. In Trikhand Vishaya Ime, it says, Veda Brahmatma Vishayas, Trikhand Vishaya Ime. The Vedas speak about the absolute truth. Brahmatma Vishaya, Trikhand Vishaya Ime, but they divide it into three. Karma Kand, Jnana Kand, and Upasana Kand. Progressively less and less. Karma Kand, Jnana Kand, Upasana Kand is very less, very little. So the person who is going to practice devotional service should have knowledge based on the Vedas. And as we said, not all the Vedas, there's some part in all of them, but here Prabhupada has pinpointed Vedanta Shruti. Here when we're speaking about Shruti, Shrutta, the Vedas, Vedanta Shruti, because that is their distilled essence of Upanishads. Upanishad is the highest, but out of Upanishads, we have Vedanta Shruti. Vedanta Shruti explains Bhagavad Dharma, that information needed for us to come to level of leaving this material world and understanding through reason and logic, Nyaya, the absolute truth. As we mentioned many times, practically we are, even though that is the highest of the Vedas, but we are not qualified to understand it and even to read it. We will not understand that level of Sanskrit. The Sanskrit level in the Shruti is very high. We can have a glimpse in our Sri Ishopanishad. It's at a high level. And okay, let's say I know the language. So, but to read those concepts and to understand them, it assumes a lot of knowledge. It will not speak everything. It will just speak a little and assume, because whoever's reading would have come through a lifelong study and practice. So should be knowing what it's speaking about. But we don't understand Vedanta Shruti. So then, more specifically, we speak about Bhashyam Brahma Sutranam, the natural commentary of Vedanta, which is the Bhagavatam. There's a discussion here of the levels of devotees. Not all devotees have that much knowledge. Of course, by knowledge we mean two things. One is realization, but another is that knowledge needed to perform bhakti. We have to read the books. So we have the third class of devotee, Kanishta Adhikari. He doesn't have that knowledge, but he has information that I have to do bhakti. He doesn't make a distinction between a devotee and non-devotee. He just sees the deity and that's it. He'll not think, I have to serve the devotee, I have to respect, nothing like that. Just sees the deity. Then, and he, Komal Shraddha, he has weak faith. Easily he can change. He can change if some Mayavadi meets him on book distribution and speaks something, he can change. Or his own mind can change him one morning. Or just due to force of Maya, he can just stop. But the second level, Madhyama Adhikari, he has knowledge of Shastra. And that knowledge of Shastra convinces him. So he's more fixed. Madhyama Adhikari. And he sees four categories of, he sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the devotees and innocent or ignorant, not knowing anything, and envious. So he deals with them accordingly. As it says in Nectar of Instruction, make friendship with the devotees, preach to the innocent, and avoid the envious. Or if you're Uttamadhikari, you can preach to the envious, as our Purvacharyas did. Especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, Haridas Thakur, they just went to the envious. They just went to those categories. So, yeah, what is that? It says, Dina Hina Jatachilo Harinam Udhari. But the highest category is Uttamadhikari. Uttamadhikari has knowledge, but he also has the power to convince others of that knowledge. He has a deeper realization by which he can change others. So, in that category, normally then one becomes a preacher, sannyasi. So everyone's equipped with different level of knowledge, but one has to at least come to Madhyama platform. Somehow or other we come into bhakti and we are reading, maybe chanting little, reading, but one has to come to a higher level. Otherwise we cannot be fixed. We cannot be effectively practice in a proper way. We have to understand about Divu, we have to understand philosophy and a high level of practice. So we have to come to Madhyama platform. So when we say Bhaktya Shrutta Grihitaya, Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya, the devotee, so there are levels, and it should be the Madhyama platform, that we should have that much knowledge at least to explain ourselves why we are worshipping Krishna, why is he supreme, why are we basing everything on the Bhagavatam. And why are we chanting? Still people think chanting is only for devotees, not for us. We should be able to explain this, at least to maintain our position. Then a higher level is you convert people to the, as Prabhupada says, to the bhakti cult, to Gaudiya Siddhanta. Gaudiya Siddhanta is the highest path. Even Jiva Goswami, who wrote texts, is glorified in other sampradayas. He's known. So out of the levels, one has to get that much knowledge to come to an effective level to practice. And when we speak about knowledge, we are speaking about the Bhagavat. In this age, the Vedas, different parts of the Vedas or ways of learning Vedic knowledge is applicable in different ages. For our age now, we should read the Bhagavat and Bhagavad Gita. In many places, Prabhupada said, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavat, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavat. Most important. But now to understand the Bhagavat also, we need nectar of devotion. So that's also Bhagavat. But it's in a way we'll understand and analyze the pastimes and the rasas and all that. And then teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada also recommended. That's also Bhagavat, because that's just extracting all the discussions that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had with different categories of personalities, and how he propounded the tattva to Sanatana Goswami, the science of Krishna consciousness, and rasa to Rupa Goswami, as Sanatana Goswami is known as Tattva Acharya and Rupa Goswami as Rasa Acharya. He wrote many books on the rasa aspect. So teachings of Lord Chaitanya, practically they're all Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam has to be studied through those texts and through the Bhagavat and through the devotee, Bhagavat, personality. By serving, we have to come to the knowledge. This knowledge is the only way by which the one who is seeking to understand absolute truth can practice bhakti. He has to have that knowledge. Bhaktya, jnana vairagya, yuktaya, equipped with. Just like a person, he's going to fight in a war, or someone is a technician going to do his work. He's well equipped with his equipment. Otherwise he knows, I can't do much. I have to have my equipment. You know, a soldier has his weapons. Even a farmer, he'll be walking around with some stick for the cow or some knife for cutting. Yesterday we in the farm, we saw one of the farmers walking around with that for cutting the herbs and plants. He's just walking around that. So everyone should have equipped. Okay, so the person who wants to seek the absolute truth should be equipped with knowledge and detachment. Every step of the way he will need it. He will need it. We go out for our service. Even if we don't go out, we're here. But wherever we are, whatever, we should be equipped with knowledge and detachment. This is my path, this is what I have to do. Detachment from this material world, because we are in the material world. We'll be lured this way or that way. And it can be we'll be lured away from bhakti or away from devotees. So one should have that strength to understand the category. This is Maya, this is not Maya. Well equipped, yuktaya. And if he's well equipped, then he's safe. As much as one is safe in this kingdom of Maya. All is at a risk. Bhakta Shruta Grihitaya. Equipped with knowledge and detachment in terms of what he heard from the Bhaktya Shruta Grihitaya, from the Bhagavat. So Shrimad Bhagavatam gives us examples. How different personalities renounced, how they acquired knowledge. Right in the beginning we see Narad Muni's example, so inspiring. We see what a personality Narad Muni is now. But he was explaining to Vyasadeva of his past, how he got knowledge from the Bhagavatas. He said the Bhakti Vedantas, from the Bhakti Vedantas. How he got that knowledge and how he renounced. We hear that. Then Dhruv Maharaj, how he got that knowledge. All seemingly personalities like us who are not on the path, not desiring, but at some point they got that realization, we have to do it. And how they gave everything for that. Dhruv Maharaj, although initially not seeking absolute truth for the purpose of serving, but he was searching, and he understood this principle I'm searching is higher than this material realm that I'm seeing. So he gave everything for that. Although it was fruitive, but it was seeking after absolute truth, the personality. For wrong reason, we should have a reason. That already happened. We came to bhakti with a different purpose. And then we somehow, stop suffering, mental distress, whatever it is. But we're here now, so now we have to become purified. As Dhruv Maharaj got purified when he came in contact with the Supreme Personality. Swamin kritarto asmi varam na yache. He said, Swami, Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am satisfied now, I don't want anything. He said, I came looking for glass, but I got diamonds. I came looking for lower thing, but I got the topmost thing. Now I don't want anything. Still, the Supreme Personality of God gave him what he wanted. So, the Bhagavatam explains, on the path to attaining Supreme Personality of Godhead, how to behave, how should be our one-pointed focus, ekanta bhakti. Ekanta means one purpose. Ekanta bhajilo hari. Not so many different paths. Although we may still be in the material world and then maintaining our path, our material body or material life to some extent, because we shouldn't disturb the situation so much that it will disturb our bhakti initially, unless we are qualified to deal with it. So initially, we'll have other things, but the main focus is one. Vyavasya atmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. That one aim, pinpointed attention, that is needed in bhakti. It's explained many times in the Bhagavad and in Bhagavad Gita, how this aim should be one. Why is that? Because this is such an important thing. It requires full consciousness, full intelligence, what we have to attain. We have to be so attentive. Just like a person, for example, we may be cooking and doing so many things at once, but certain things require full attention, we'll just be there. I don't know what those are, you will know better.
Maybe.
Example, you tell me. Maybe when you're grinding something, you can't say, I'll press the button and I'll do, no, be there, watch the grinder, hold the lid. It's a heavy duty machine, anything can happen. Okay, or in any other profession, some efforts are required that you pull full attention. Don't be doing two things at once. Driving, thank you, yes. Driving.
Payments.
Making payments online, check the account. Yeah, you know that. So in the same way, when we come to bhakti, full attention, in beginning maybe half, till we understand, okay, this is the path, this is a good path. This is the actually only path, actually. So now put full attention, full focus, full energy, and do it and finish it. So that comes at that point, that full focus is required. Full focus, you can mean, okay, give up everything. May mean, may not mean. But here we're talking about our full focus because some people have other interests in life. So this should be the only thing. And then we can attain. Then we attain it. Because it's not something that, it's something that will require full attention to figure out. Some intelligence is needed and perception about myself and this world and what's going on and where am I going wrong, everything. Energy, everything is needed. So one who is seriously inquisitive, I'll just read it out. Devotional service based on the foreground of full knowledge, with knowledge, combined with detachment from the material world, is and which is fixed by oral reception from Vedanta Shruti, that means Bhagavat, by hearing Bhagavat, full knowledge, is the only perfect method by which the seriously inquisitive student can realize the absolute truth. Prabhupada is saying, this is the only way. Full focus, attain the knowledge of Bhagavatam, hear constantly from Bhagavatam, be somewhat detached from material world, not that, okay, I'll try and get 2 cars, 3 cars, get a lot of money. No, some level of detachment, just to maintain detachment, knowledge from Bhagavatam, and practice of bhakti in that way. Prashanti Atmani Chalmani. He can realize absolute truth. Hare Krishna. Question. Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
You told that there are devotees just by the perception of spiritual truth.
Yeah.
We get to know it, although they don't explain it. I have experienced it several times, and it is inconceivable also how it happens. But devotees can explain the inconceivable things also. So I want to know how exactly does it happen that we just have association of devotees, see them, and then we get the truth realized within.
Okay, that when I was speaking of that, I was referring to the Uttamadhikari devotees, the elevated Vaishnavas, which is described in that verse in Shrimad Bhagavatam. Bhavadvida Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhutta Swayam Vibho Tirti Kurvani Tirthani Svanta Svena Gadabrataha. That what Yudhishthira Maharaj was speaking to Vidura, that where you go is a dham. Bhavadvida Bhagavata. Bhagavatas like you, Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho. You yourself, Tirti Kurvanti Tirtha. You turn place of pilgrimage into, you turn a place into a place of pilgrimage. So such personalities who are so elevated, by seeing them, we get the seed of bhakti.
How do you get that?
Because they're so spiritually powerful that the Supreme Lord is within their heart, he's within everyone's heart, but he's fully manifest. It is in that song also that Ganga Parashya Pashte Pavan Pavitra Koro Itamarugun. Just by seeing you, your darshan become purified. How do they do that? They are so spiritually advanced, they are emitting that. They're directly under Krishna, in the spiritual energy. So whatever they do is under Krishna's order and desire. Yeah, that's it. They're not under Maya aspect.
And Uttamadhikaris, all they can be in one place, and they are supposed to be in one place and do their bhakti.
Is the question or comment? Because
no, I'm asking.
no, resumption is wrong. No, it's not. They can be traveling. That's up to them. Mostly they'll be traveling preaching.
I have heard Uttamadhikari, although they can be at one place, but still they come to the platform of Madhyamadhikari to preach for the welfare of others.
Generally, yes. Otherwise, you cannot preach because Uttamadhikari sees everyone in Vishnu in everyone and treats everyone equally. He doesn't make a distinction. He sees these are, but Uttama, then how will you, for preaching you have to understand. He's just like preacher, he'll necessarily criticize and find fault in order to correct it.
They just act as a Madhyamadhikari, they are not.
Yeah, not everyone who's Madhyama, but yeah, like some are elevated, but they'll come to the level of calling others fools and rascals are not surrendering to Vishnu. So we have to make them. Others are why you're criticizing. Elevated people don't criticize, but then you have to preach, so you have to criticize.
Even if they don't do it, there won't be any difference.
If they don't come on the platform,
Yeah, being a Madhyamadhikari coming to the platform or not coming to the platform, they'll be on the same level.
yeah, they're still Uttama.
And Prabhupada told in one lecture, Varnashrama must be instituted, that conversation,
Yeah.
February 1974, something.
Yes.
So there he says, we don't follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Nishkinchana Bhava. So what does he mean by that?
We're not following right now because we're not on that level.
What is Nishkinchana Bhava?
Nishkinchana means not seeing difference, spiritual, material. When he was in Puri and the last stages, he, that time was not preaching. He was just exhibiting the highest bhav. So with that time when Ramananda Rai, no, that was not that time, of course, before that, he asked Ramananda Rai, what is the topmost thing? When he said Varnashram, he said, Eho Bahya, this is external. It's not part of the bhakti, which is true. But at the same time, although we are not on that bhav and not following him, but we notice he followed Varnashram, he was a sannyasi, he didn't take he avoided association of women as a sannyasi would. And everyone around him, his associates were brahmacharis, grahasthas, each following their duties. When we reach that level, we'll not, because he's at a different level, but at that level of bhava, prema, then you can follow. But even then, Krishna says that do your duty to benefit others who will follow you.
Nishkinchana means?
I don't know exact meaning, someone can say.
Akinchana,
I think Nishkinchanasya Bhagavad Bhajon Mukhasya, that it will be in that shloka, the word to a translation. Nishkinchanasya Bhagavad Bhajon Mukhasya Paramparam Jigameshor Bhavasagarasya. So it's taken from that verse, probably from that Ha Hanta Hanta Visha Bhakshantu Piyasa. No, what is the third line? That Jigameshor. So a person who is on the path to attain detachment from material life, for him association with a materialist or association with a woman is just like taking poison. So that is that verse quoted a lot by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada.
And in that conversation he says that...
So, one second. Then there, Nishkinchanasya, you are finding that verse? Nishkinchanasya Bhagavad Bhajon Mukhasya. Simple word means those who want to detach from material world and attain spiritual perfection. But in the word to word, let's see what it's given as. It will be in the shloka book also, maybe. Okay. Nishkinchanasya Bhagavad Bhajon Mukhasya. We'll need the word to word. That may not be found easily. You got it, huh? Okay. Okay, yeah. Bhagavad Nishkinchanasya. It's okay. Nishkinchana, no material obligation, no material duty. Prabhupada translates.
And in that same conversation, he says he tells about the people who are falling down because they are not on the position and artificially coming to the position.
Yes,
he is
yes.
giving.
Yeah.
And then they are falling down, which means they were first place they were not at that position. So for these people who cannot follow 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, not 4 regulative principles, but those who cannot follow 16 rounds chanting, for them Varnashrama is there, which means chanting is bhakti, and within Varnashram there will be devotees who won't be chanting 16 rounds, but they will be part of Varnashram.
Yes.
And they will be doing bhakti or not?
No, for the mass of people, at least they should be living on a human platform in order to easily take bhakti in future. Or just by practicing Varnashram, they come to elevated position. Or at least they'll respect sadhus and sannyasis so that when they approach them, they can get benefit. It's a very big difference now, out of India and in India. You won't know, but if you go and preach out of India, you'll say no one cares and no one knows anything what is a brahmachari and sannyasi. They'll just treat you normally. Here, immediately some level of, they listen to you, you can even speak heavily. But there, they'll challenge you, what are you speaking, So at least that's some good thing. Yeah, Varnashram is to help them come on the platform and to protect the devotees from coming down. Because if you follow Varnashram, then proper respect and how to deal with brahmachari sannyasis, and also for women, everything will be favorable for bhakti, Varnashram. Favorable for devotees and helping other devotees who don't take bhakti to at least come on a platform where it's easy for them to take up. We'll stop here. Okay, you can ask more. Okay, Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.